අද තියෙන්නේ එතකොට මේ ආතාපි සම්පජානෝ සතිමා විනේය ලෝකේ අවිජ්ජා දෝමනසං. එතකොට මේ සම්පජා අපි ආතාපි ගැනත් කිව්වා සතිමා ගැනත් කිව්වා සම්පජාඤ්ඤය ගැන කතා කරලා ඉන්නේ.
So today we are again discussing or explaining Sathipatthana sutta. So now today's line is this thing Lokam said just now. Atapi satima sampajano vinaya okay abhijja domanasana. So the atapi, that's the like burning energy that is destroying defilements, and satis, both of them have been discussed before, but the third one, sampajano, or clearly comprehending or clear comprehension, has not been yet discussed. So Lokam wants to have a look at it today.
ඔය සම්පජාඤ්ඤය නිකන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හඳුනා දෙනවා. දැන් සම්පජාඤ්ඤ කාණ්ඩය කියලාම කායානුපස්සනාවේ කොටසක් තියෙනවා.
So there is like general, we have maybe some general knowledge what the Sampajanna or clear comprehension is about. Also there is a clear comprehension section of the Kayanupassana, or the contemplation of the body. So one section of that is called clear comprehension, mindfulness and clear comprehension. So that one is another thing.
No මේ ඇලීම් ගැටීම් දෙකෙන් තොර වුණාම නුවණින් අරමුණ ගන්න පුළුවන්.
So one is possible to apprehend an object like correctly, or comprehend it correctly once there is no holding on to or no conflicting with the object.
එතකොට අර සම්පජාඤ්ඤය කියන්නේ නුවණ. එතකොට නුවණින් අරමුණ ගන්න පුරුදු වෙනවා යෝගියාට. සතියෙන් ඉන්නකොට.
So while staying in sati, that is no attachment or nor grasping nor conflict, the yogi is also asked to train the wisdom or understanding part, which is called sampajanya.
මේ ලෝකය එතකොට හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ විනය ලෝකය.
So when it's happening like that, then one is able to kind of somewhat understand the world. So when that happened, that is the last part of the sentence. Lokam says is like
ලෝකේ හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ලෝකෙන් අයින් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
So one can understand about the world, or be like stop being attached to it, or remove oneself from it.
එතකොට මේ ලෝකය කියන්නේ මේ කැඩෙන බිඳෙන හේයින් ලෝකය.
So when we say the world or a world, it is the world which is constantly, all the time, every moment breaking apart.
කාය ලෝකය, වේදනා ලෝකය, චිත්ත ලෝකය, ධම්ම ලෝකය.
So in other way you can have a look at this is like the world of the form or materiality, the world of feelings, the world of perceptions, the world of mental formations, and the world of consciousness.
කාය ලෝකයට අයිති දේවල් ගොඩයි.
So what belongs to this the world of the body or like material, there is like a lot of things that belong to that.
කාය ලෝකයේ ඉතින් දැන් මේ ලුජ්ජන පලුජ්ජන කැඩෙනවා බින්දෙනවා වෙනස් වෙනවා නිතරම.
So this nature of this world of form, or the bodily form, bodily world of the body, is kind of transmutation and this disintegration.
මේ ලෝකේ කිව්වා මේ අපේ මේ රටවල් නෙමෙයි මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ. ස්කන්ධ පංචක ලෝකේ.
So here from this explanation you might have already guessed it, but when we say world here we don't mean this like planet or people on it or anything. When we talk about a world in this like in connection with this, the world means the 5 aggregates world.
මේ ස්කන්ධ පංචක ලෝකේ අඳුන ගන්න මොනවද තියෙන්නේ ඔක්කොම අඳුන ගන්නවා සම්පජාඤ්ඤය.
So whatever there is in to be understood about this world of the 5 aggregates, all that is being understood or could be understood by this clear comprehension.
අවිද්‍යා දෝමනස දෙක අතහැරලා තියෙන කාමච්ඡන්දයයි ව්‍යාපාදේ අතහැරිච්ච නිසා. කාමච්ඡන්දයයි
Oh.
ව්‍යාපාදයයි සිතින් අයින් කරලා තියෙන නිසා
Oh.
අයින් වෙලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේ ආතාපි සම්පජානෝ සතිමා කියනකොට නිසා.
So now this is the end of the line that Lokamdu mentioned at the beginning, which is in English generally translated as having been removed from the world. Having been removed from the covetousness and grief in regards to the world. So now this being removed means this abhijja and domanassa comes is basically this sensual desire or wanting, and domanassa is kind of it's like aversion or on that side. So both these like let's say wanting and not wanting in regards to the world, that means the five aggregates themselves, that has been abandoned because of the preceding three things. That is this energy burning, defilement burning energy combined with sati and clear comprehension.
මේ සතිය හැමතිස්සෙම යෙදෙන එකක් නෙවෙයි අපේ ඊටි.
So now this thing called sati is not something that is always being applied in our minds.
ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් භාවනා කරනනේ පැයක් දෙකක්. ඇතැම් වෙලාවට සතියේ පැය දෙකේම නැතුව තියෙන්න පුළුවන්.
So sometimes you maybe practice for 2 hours or something in one go, so it's quite possible at some occasions, on some occasions there is no sati arising in those 2 hours at all.
හැබැයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒකාග්‍රතාවයෙන් අරමුණෙන් පිට නොගින් මෙනෙහි කරලා තියෙනවා.
But still the yogi or you stay for this 1 hour or 2 hours just with one kind of one-pointedness, without straying outside of your object of practice. That is there, but still no sati is there.
ඔව් පැය 8-10ක් භාවනා කරනවා අපි එන. පැය 8ක්.
So or let's take a case of somebody spending like daily, let's say 8 hours of meditation.
නැත්නම් වෙනාට විනාඩි 5ක් විතර සතිය හැදිලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. එකතු වෙච්චාම.
So for such a person, if we gather the moments of sati that appeared in the practice within those 8 hours in a day, so if we accumulate those, it's vinadi 5.
ඔව් විනාඩි 5ක්.
It's about 5 minutes altogether.
ඔව්. එතකොට යෙදෙනකොට තමයි ඒ වෙලාවට තමයි අවිද්‍යා දෝමනස දෙක අයින් වෙන්නේ.
So it is only at the moment when the sati is there or is being applied to what is happening, when this avijja domanassa vinaya loka is this being removed or abandoning this let's say grasping after or being or rejecting this world.
මේ කය කොටස් වශයෙන් දකින්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා.
So it is possible to see this body in terms of like as a collection of different parts.
ඒ කොටස් පොඩි කොටස් වලට ලොකු කොටස්. අක්ෂර මේ ලොකු කොටස් හතරකට මේ සති සම්පජාඤ්ඤ ආතාපි සම්පජාන සතිමා තියෙනකොට අභිජ්ජා දෝමනස්ස දෙක අයින් වෙලා තියෙනකොට මහා කොටස් හතරක් තේරෙනවා.
So first what happens or can happen in practice is understanding the big parts or big segments about the body.
මේ ශරීරයේ තද ගතිය.
So that is when first this is happening for somebody that is really already practicing properly this ardent sati and being and clearly comprehending. When these three are happening, so after some time these four main things about the body will start manifest. So one of them is understanding about hardness in the body.
දියර කොටස්.
Or kind of wateriness.
ඊළඟට
or cohesion you might think.
තද දියර වායු කොටස්.
Or it's it's like movements and vibrations in the body.
උෂ්ණත්වය.
Or some manifestations that have to do with temperature like heat or cold.
ඊට පස්සේ තමයි අනිත් කොටස් වලට කැඩෙන්නේ.
So once that has been experienced, then one can break it down to more pieces or aspects.
අපි මේ පැරණි උපමාවක් තියෙනවා.
there is an old simile talking about this or illustrating
අපේ
this.
ලංකාවේ ඒක අඩුයි බලන්න ඔය බුරුමේ නම් තියෙනවා.
So it's a bit difficult to find this whatever in Sri Lanka, but in Burma it's quite available.
උණ ගහක් අරන් පලනවා කොටස් හතරකට. ඊට චූටි චූටි ඇස් වලට පලලා කුළු පෙට්ටි අරම වියනවා ඒකට. මොනවා හරි මේ භාජන ඒවා වියනවා.
So it's a way of using bamboo plant for kind of weaving. So first you split it into 4, and then those 4 you split into smaller segments, and those are used for the weaving itself.
අර නුවර පාරයිනේ තියෙන්නේ. ඔව් ඒකට පොඩි පොඩි ලස්සන බාණ්ඩ හදලා තියෙනවා.
So in Sri Lanka there is like one famous place where they sell all these woven goods. So if you go there you might see things that are prepared from bamboo. Like
ඒ ලොකු කොටස් අතරින් එකක් තමයි මේ අපි ආනාපාන කියලා අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ.
So like the 4 big things, they are the so-called 4 elements. Lokoham didn't call them that, but they are the 4 great elements. So similarly, there is like this big part is the in and out breathing.
දැන් අපි ඒකට ආනාපාන කොටස කායන් පස්සනාව කියන්නේ.
So as a result, part of the description of in the sutta, when the Buddha explains about contemplation of the body, so is this mindfulness of in and out breathing.
එතකොට මේ ඊළඟට මේකේ අපේ ශරීරේ ආනාපාන දැන් ඉපදිච්ච දවසේ ඉඳලා මරණ දවස වෙනකම් මේක ඉතින් බලන්න මේක වැඩ කරනවා.
So the other thing is if we consider the body since the day we are born until we die, the body is there, and one of the things that is always kind of going on is this breathing.
නතර වුණ දවස තමයි නතර වුණා මරුණා කියන්නේ.
So when this breathing stops, that is the end of the body.
ඉතින් දැන් අපි මේ මරණකම්ම මේ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වයක් නෙමේ ආස්වාද ප්‍රාස ඒකේ තමයි සිත පිහිටවන්න බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ මේ පළමුවෙන්.
Because it is something like this naturally occurring all the time as long as the body is there, so that's why it has been taken as a subject for practice by the Buddha and explained there.
දැන් ඒ හුස්ම ගන්න පිට ගන්න සත්වයා කවුරු මිනිස්සයා මේ හරක් බල්ලු මේ කරන්නේ සත්වයා කිව්වම මේ මිනිස් සත්වයා. ඉතින් මේ ඉරියව් දැන් මම ඉඳගෙන ඉන්නවා.
So now we are talking about humans, so there is this human being is breathing, okay, but other than that is always in some kind of bodily position.
ඉඳගෙන ඉඳ වෙනවා.
The body is disposed in some particular way.
ඇවිදින්න වෙනවා.
Either it is standing or sitting or it's going somewhere.
හිටගෙන ඉන්නවා. නිදාගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඔය හතර
or it's lying down. So those are the 4 main things, 4 main positions of the body that we can find it most of.
ආස්වාද ප්‍රාසාසත් එක්ක මේ හතර ඒකෙන් තමයි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ හතර.
So today, together with this in and out breathing, always you can find one of these. Most of the time.
ඉතින් බලන්නකෝ දැන් ඉතින් මේ අපි මා ලොකු ඇයි කියලා කිව්වට කවුරුත් ඉතින් ඒ කරුණු හතරනේ කරන්නේ. ඒ කරුණු ටිකනේ.
So Lokam says like let's consider some really big guys if it's valid for them. So if we consider a beggar, if he is breathing and staying in the positions, or a king or some professor, so still this is applicable.
ඉතින් අර ඒ හතර පාවිච්චි කරනකොට අපි එක එක මට්ටම් හදාගෙන තියෙනවා. එක එක මට්ටම් මේ හතර තමයි පාවිච්චි වෙන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒකට පොතක් නැහැ, දුප්පත් නැහැ, මේ අධ්‍යාපන මොනවක් නැහැ.
So these 4 are what one might call a common denominator. So these positions they don't consider what kind of class or wealth or whatnot the person might be. It's all the same. Sitting is sitting, standing is standing, and that's it.
එයා ඉතින් මේ තවත් ඒ හතර ඇර පොඩි පොඩි ඒවා තව ගොඩක් කරනවා මේ කෑලි ඈ.
So other than these four main things, there are so many like small activities that are also done all throughout the day and as one lives.
එතකොට එයා මේ ආලෝකිතේ විලෝකිතේ සම්පජානක වටපිට බලනවා සම්මින්දිතේ පසාරිතේ නොයෙක් ඒවා ඉතින් 18ක් ඉතින් ඒතර කනවා බොනවා ටොයිලට් යනවා ඉතින් ඒ කරන ඒවා තමයි අර පොඩි ඒවා ගොඩයි.
So this bodily positions section is another part of the sutta, or where the Buddha explains about observation of the body, and the next part is about all these small things. So the sutta itself mentions exactly like 18 of them, and they are like looking here and looking back, going there and back, stretching and flexing the arms, or so going to the toilet, eating, drinking. So all the main activities are basically covered as part of the practice.
ඒවා ඉතින් මේ ඒවා කරනවා ඒවා වෙනවා. එතන කරන්නෙක් නෑ මේ වෙනවා සිද්ධ වෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒ සිද්ධ වෙන එක නුවණින් දැනගෙන ඉන්නවා.
So these activities, they are actually kind of just happening. So what the instruction is be there and know that, or understand about it happening as it is happening.
දැන් හුස්ම ගන්න එක්කෙනා ඉඳ ගන්නවා යනවා එන හතරක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා. ඒ හතර යටතේ තියෙනවා තමයි මේ ආලෝකිතෝ දැන් මේ කිව්ව ටික.
So then we have a person or somebody that is breathing, and that's one thing. And on top of the breathing, there are the four main positions, and on top of that, there is this smaller activities.
ඒ කිව්ව කරුණු ඔක්කොම ටික මේ කෙස්ලොම් නියදත් කියන පටික්කුල වලට තමයි අයිති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
So now all these like the breathing, the four main positions, and the different bodily activities, common bodily activities, they are, if you consider it in another way, they belong, or they are part of this asubha aspect. Particular
කියන්නේ පිළිකුල අසුබ ඉතින් මේ කේසා ලෝම
ඒක කොහොමද කියන්නේ?
මේක දැන් මේ දැන් මට කරදරයක් වෙනවාමයි මේ ඉසකැවලි. මේ ලෝම වලින් කරදරයක් වෙනවා, මේ දත් වලින් කරදරයක් වෙනවා. මේ කරදරයක් වෙන්නේ නැති කැල්ල මේකනේ. ඒ නිසා ඒක අසුබයි.
So this is the words used there are in English translation they call it like disgusting or unattractive, but Lokam says the main thing there about the bodily parts, this is really like hair of the head and body and skin and teeth and nails and bones and muscles and all this kind of stuff. The main thing there, Lokam says, the asubha aspect is its inherent quality of causing trouble. Like definitively, if you have hair, there is some trouble going to happen. If you have teeth, again, some trouble is going to happen.
මොනවා හරි කැලලක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ කැලල බලාපොරොත්තු වෙලා ඉන්න කරදරයක් වෙනවයි කියලා.
Whatever piece you have, or like piece of the body is there, the only expect that it's correct to have expectation that this thing is going to be troublesome.
කරදරයක් වෙන වෙච්ච වෙලාවට සෝකේ දුක වැඩන්නේ. අවිද්‍යා දොමනස් හට ගන්න නැත්නම් කරදරයක් වෙන වෙලාවට.
So then when that trouble actually happens, one should not fall into this like sorrow, lamentation or dejectedness because of that.
ඉතින් මේක මහා ධාතු අතර යටතේ මේ ඔක්කොම ටික සිද්ධ වුණා.
So within those four combination of the four great elements, that's the like heaviness or heaviness and hardness combined with cohesion and wateriness and vibrations and heat, within those all these things that have been discussed so far are happening.
ඉතින් මේක කොයි වෙලාවෙ හරි ඉතින් මේ සීවතිකයක් බවට පරිවර්ත වෙනවා. මිනියක් බවට.
So those are the other topics, that is this troublesomeness of the bodies, another meditation object, and the four grey elements, another one. So, but the conclusion of all that is what is called Sivatika. Is in the Buddha's time, there were like open charna grounds where the people just chucked bodies to decompose. So in those days, one could go and really see how the bodies are decomposing. So this is what naturally occurs with this body after it's finished.
ඉතින් මේ මහා ධාතු අතර එකතු වෙලා හැදිච්ච මොනවා ටික තියෙනවනේ. ඒක මරණයෙන් කෙලවර වෙනවා.
So whatever was there, this combination of the four elements that was breathing and walking here and then, or doing whatnot, the activities that have been described, anyway, definitively, when the body's time is expired, what happens next is this, it's like tossed into the charna ground, or it starts to decompose.
එතකොට ඒක අර උස්ම ගත්ත පිට කරපු එක තියෙනවනේ. ඒක ඉවරයි එතෙන් දැන්.
So at that point, this talk about in and out breathing is also finished. It's no longer breathing at all.
අලුත් ජීවියක් හදන්නත් පුළුවන්, හැදෙන්නේ නැතුව ඉන්නත් පුළුවන්. හැදෙන්නේ නැති එක්කෙනා ඉතින් උතුම් එක්කෙනේ. හැදෙන එක්කෙනෙක් තමයි අපි ඉතින් හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ.
So when this happens, the breathing stops and the body turns into a cadaver. So there are like two possible things. So at the death, there can be a production of new somebody new, so like re-arising somewhere else. So when so that's one thing. So or there can be not like non-arising. So this is the case of the highest kind of person.
දැන් ඉතින් මේ ගම්පා ආන්දෝ මේ සතිපට්ඨාන කියා දෙනවා.
So then this Gampaha, Venerable Gampaha monk is now explaining about mindfulness.
Sathipatthana.
Or the foundations of mindfulness. But even though there is this explaining about that, what is within this Gampaha monk is liking towards like different buildings.
දැන් මම මැරිලා පෙරේතෙක් වුණා දැන් විනාඩි 10කින්. දැන් මැරුණා. විනාඩි 10කින් පේමසිරින් නෑ පෙරේතෙක් ඉන්නවා අර ගොඩනගේ අර ගෙදරට ගෙවල් වලට දැන් මම ආසයි.
So let's say this Gampaha monk passes away. So that Gampaha monk and his body's story finished, but because of this liking that was there at the time of the Gampaha monk, there is this hungry ghost attached to one of these buildings that were liked by this monk.
දැන් පෙරේතයා මෙතන පේන්නවත් ඉන්නවා කියමුකෝ. දැන් පේන්න මෙතන පෙරේතයා හැදිලා ඉන්නවා. තව විනාඩි 10කින්. එතකොට විනීත මාව දකින්න කැමති නැහැ. මේ ඉන්න එක්කෙනෙක්ම මාව දකින්න කැමති නැහැ. දැන් නම් හාමුදුරුවෝ බන්න කියනවා. හරි එයාව දකින්න කැමති නැහැ.
So if we were able to
මේ විහිළුව එතන තියෙනවා.
show this hungry ghost to people, so now everybody is looking at me and happily watching. Oh, Bhante is giving us Dhamma talk, how wonderful, we like to watch him. But if he died and in 10 minutes he was shown us as this hungry ghost hanging around this some of these buildings here, nobody would like to see that hungry ghost that used to be Gampaha Pelasa.
කොහොම යනවා යන්න. ඔගොල්ලෝ පැනලා දුවනවා මං එතන ඉන්නවා දැකලා අම්මෝ පේමසිරි හාමුදුරුවෝ නෙමෙයි යන්න පෙරේතෙක් ඉන්නේ. මේ අපේ අම්මා මේ උපමාව. අම්මට හරි ආදරේ. මැරිලා විනාඩි 10කින් අම්මා පෙරේතෙක්. මං දකින්න. මං අර ආදරේ කරපු අම්මා නෑ. ඒතකොට මං බයෙන්නේ යන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ කිව්ව ආතාපි සම්පජානෝ සත්‍යමයි හැදුවේ නැත්තම් ওই මට්ටමයි සිට.
So now in this example, if there is this what used to be Venerable Pemasiri as a hungry ghost somewhere, so people now they flock to him and they like to associate him. So now this ghost nobody really like to associate the place, and they avoid even the building and run away from that place, saying, oh, there is a ghost in that place. So Lokam says another example, like most of us probably really love our mothers, and we just like them so much. So if our mothers died, and in 10 minutes we were shown them as hungry ghosts or these restless spirits, that would create a strong dislike to experience that. Like basically we were shown that, we would like try to avoid seeing that and run away or go somewhere else. Very well. So while Lokam was talking about that is, so if you don't manage to establish or get yourself properly into this defilement burning energy combined with sati and clear comprehension practice, that is where you might end up really as a kind of restless spirit, also called hungry ghost. So there is a kind of frightening story, I think. So there was a monk meditating with the idea of attaining arahatship or full liberation. But it didn't work out, and instead of that, this monk became a big crocodile. So there is one of the chief rivers in Sri Lanka that floats, I think, towards the east. No?
Oh.
I don't know. So it's one of the big rivers, and it is used also for boat traffic up to a certain point. And so anyway, so this monk became this big crocodile in this river, and because he was staying near a fording place where there were these bullock carts trying to cross, and he was in the habit of snatching those bullocks from.
ඉතින් ඒ සිවුර ගන්න ගියාම මේ තඩියා ඒ කෑ ගන්නවා මෙහි යනවා දුවනවා ඊට පස්සේ මහන්නේ අල්ලන්න එපා දවස් 7ක් යනකම් ඕක.
ඒක වෙන්නේ
ඔව් වෙන වෙච්ච කතාවක් මේ බුදුහාමයන් කාලේ වෙච්ච එකක්.
ඒක වෙන කතාවක්.
වෙන කතාවක්.
මහාවලි කතාවක්. So there's another frightening story. ඒක කවුද නමක් නෑ
ඒ කාලේ නමක් නෑ. සිද්ධවීම
මොකද වෙලා
මැරුණා
කවුද
ඒ හාමුදුරුවෝ
හාමුදුරුවෝ
මැරුණාන් පස්සේ දැන් ඔය තඩියෝ දන්නවනේ ඔළුවේ ඉන්න
ඔව්
ඒකෙක් වෙලා මේ සිවුරේ ඉපදුණා
තඩියේ slice okay so අර සිවුරට සිවුරට ආසයි මට මෙහෙම සිවුරක් තියෙනවා කියලා. So this monk was kind of fond of his own robes or some robe cloth. This is story from the Buddha's time, not all Sri Lanka. So there was a monk, or that means supposedly somebody who is practicing. But anyway, because of liking towards his own robes, when he passed away, he was this being that used to be this monk re-arose as a lice living in the cloth or in his robes. So the Buddha said, because the Buddha was aware of that, he told the monks, don't touch these robes for 7 days. So that after that, this lice or whatever this, it was either a lice or kind of moth, died as an animal and disappear from that place. So then the Buddha said it's okay to use their robes.
දුර්ලභව ලබාගත් ජීවිතේ පුළුවන් තරම් මේ ඇලීම් ගැටීම් දෙකෙන් තොරව පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියන එකයි කියන්නේ.
So why this is explained is, now this is something extremely valuable. We have these 5 aggregates in some kind of good working order, so it's like encouragement to use them in a really sensible way. That is the best way possible is developing this Sathipatthana. So now for that one needs like a place to stay, maybe a meditation hut. So, but the kuti or the meditation hut or a lodging is its purpose is just to support this kind of life, meditation life.
ඉතින් බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ මේ යෝගියාට මේ ජීවත් වෙන්න සෙනසුන් තුනක් කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා.
So the Buddha himself mentioned 3 kinds of lodgings or places where somebody practicing should stay or can stay.
ආරණ්‍ය, ශුන්‍යාගාර, මේ උක්ෂමූලයේ ශුන්‍යාගාර.
So the 3 mentioned all through the suttas are aranya, then rukkamula and sunyagara, which are usually translated as like forest hermitages or forests, then roots of trees and empty abodes.
මේ ආරණ්‍යයටත් පෙරක් ඇලෙනවා. පෙරක් ඇලෙන්නේ.
So some people have developed or have attachment towards these forest dwellings or forest hermitages. Some of them don't have those.
මේ ගිම්හාන ඍතුවට මේ පහසුවෙන් මේ ජීවත් වෙන්න තමයි සුදුසු ආරණ්‍ය තමයි ඒකට ගිම්හාන ඍතුවට. ගිම්හාන උෂ්ණයි.
So
ආරණ්‍ය.
In the old India there was the 3 main seasons. One of them was called the hot season, let's say, which was from March up to July, let's say. So this is kind of dry hot season. So that one was for that one it was said that the good kind of dwelling is this forest hermitage dwelling.
ඒකට ගිම්හාන ඒකට මේ හේමන්ත ඍතුව තියෙන. හේමන්ත ඍතුව කියන්නේ මොකද්ද?
So Hemant is like cold season, which in India was a kind of let's say November to March. So that is the good place to stay. Then was said to be a root of a tree.
ඒකට මේ වැස්ස කාට වස්සාන ඍතුවේ ඒකට ශූන්‍යාගාරේ.
And during the rain seasons, this what is translated as empty abodes were suggested as the proper good dwellings or practice places.
මේ ගේ ඇලිලා ඉන්න එක නෙවෙයි.
Now it's not about being attached to a house.
ඒකට මේ සෙම අධිකය ඉන්නවනේ සෙම. එයාට මේ සුදුසු එක තමයි ආරණ්‍ය.
So there are people now in the old system of medicine, they were talking about these 3 kind of humors in the body, which was phlegm, bile and wind. So the people that are said to have like less of phlegm, they find
අනිත් එක මේ උක්ෂමූලයේ තමයි මේ පිත අධිකයට මේ කට තිත් එනවා රෙමෙන්. සෙමයට මේ ආරණ්‍ය. පිත අධිකයට මේ උක්ෂමූලයේ.
So for the people with less of phlegm, the good place is the forest dwellings. For people of this something to do with the bile, the roots of trees are good ones.
ආරණ්‍ය ඒකට මේ ශුන්‍යාගාරේ වාතය අධිකයට ශරීරේ.
අධික කියන්න
වැඩි සාමය මේ පිද්ද මේ රිදෙනවා මෙතන රිදෙනවා. මල්ලිකාණු.
So then අර පළවෙනි
එකේන සේම අධික එකේන.
අධික no
අඩුවන්නේ වැඩි.
Sorry. So I have to make a correction. So it is afflictions. So afflictions by phlegm, bile or wind. So the people that had these afflictions that were recognized as phlegm afflictions should use the forest dwellings. People with bile afflictions, they should use the root of these roots of trees, and these empty abodes should be used people who have different wind afflictions.
උජුං කායං අනිදාය පරිමුඛං සතින් උපට්ඨවෙත්ත. උජුං කායං ඍජුව තමයි. උජුං කායං ඍජුව තියෙනවා මේ ශරීරේ. පරිමුඛං අරමුණ ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඕනේ. සතිය අරමුණයි. ඒ අරමුණ ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඕනේ.
So
අරමුණ ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
So now, Lokamdu, now why we are talking about this, in this sutta we have gone to the first meditation discussion, which starts how a monk should go into one of these suitable places, and then what comes next is sit down with it's called, I think, erect body, and establish the mindfulness in front. That is usually the English translation. So this sitting and straight body is kind of obvious. That means mainly straight spine without bending, and then this Parimukkhang Satimupattapita, establishing the mindfulness in the front. Lokam says here it means in the front means like as the main thing. So you take the object of your meditation and try to develop mindfulness on that. So that's your main objective there. That's why it's called in the front.
ඉදිරියෙන් ඉන්නේ මේ අරමුණ ආස්වාද ප්‍රාස ඉදිරියෙන් ඉන්නේ පරිමුඛං සතිය. මම මෙහෙම ඉන්නවා සතියෙන් ඉන්නේ. ඒ සතියට ගොදුරු කරගන්නවා පරිමුඛං. ඒ ගොදුරු කරගන්න හුස්ම යන්නේ එක.
So when you sit with your straight back and your objective is being mindful, so what starts happening, you start kind of catching the breath as it's going inside and outside.
ඔව්. එතකොට දැන් ඒක තමයි ප්‍රධානම එක පරිමුඛං.
And that's the main thing there.
ඒ කර්මස්ථානයේ තමයි අපි දැන් වඩන්නේ.
So that is the basic, or let's say basic instruction that is then developed from like it is developed from that.
ඔව්. එතකොට මේ මෑල වෙලා මේම භාවනා කරන්න මේක කෙලින්ම තියෙන්න ඕනම. මොකද අපේ මේ කසේරුකාව හොඳට වැඩ කරන්න ඕන මොළයට ලේන්න.
So why the straight back? Why it should not be bent or anything? So there are these this spinal cord as well as the blood circulation, like veins and like let's say blood vessels that are running along the spine into the head. So both of those should be unobstructed when you meditate.
උජුං කායං
So that's about the straight body there.
හරියට නුවණ ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේකට මේ ඇද වෙලා මේ වෙලා ඉන්නකොට හැගෙන එන්න ඉදිව ඉන්න.
So sometimes when we kind of like understanding, we are half bent or nodding asleep or like inclining the head in one way or another. So that should be not there. When you sit for meditation, you really should, with understanding, try to sit very in a straight position.
මේ සත්‍ය කියන එක තනියෙන් ඇවිදින මේ ව්‍යාකරයක් වගේ නැත්නම් දිවියෙක් වගේ. ඒ සතිය කියන එක.
Oh.
එකපාරටම අරමුණ අල්ලනවා.
So
එකපාරටම පැනලා
so
අල්ලනවා.
this
දෙසරයක් පනින්නේ.
so the sati should be sharp as a beast of prey, maybe a leopard or a jaguar or something like that. That is waiting for its prey. So when the prey enters, this let's say leopard jumps and catches the prey, and it does not need to do the jump 2 times. It just jumps and catches the prey. So sati is something like that according to this explanation.
උද්දකලා වූ මේ මනස වෙනත් ඒවා නැතනියෙන් ඉන්නේ උද්දකලා වූ මනස.
So that applies for a mind that is in solitude, without like engagement with anything else.
ඒ උද්දකලා වූ මනස තුලින් තමයි සතිය අරමුණට පනින්නේ.
So it is within this kind of mind that is like in a kind of solitude that this leopard of sati is attacking the object or catching the object.
yang aramanang upa tantan salakinto.
So whatever the object might happens to be arising, that very one is caught or noted.
Yang Vedana Upai Tantan Salakinto.
So or whatever feeling or experiencing is arising, that very one is caught.
Yang Chittang Upai Tantan Salakinto.
So whatever bodily thing, I think I mixed that up. So first one was the whatever bodily thing was there. So then third one is whatever mind arises, that one is caught.
Yang Mang Upai Tantan
So
Salakinto.
whatever phenomena is there arising, that itself is caught.
Oh. Enena Tawad Mang Upamaවක්
Or
කියදෙන.
noted. So there is another simile that Lokam can
මේ
give us.
මෙරුවෝ මේ පොළවේ ඉඳලා යට ඉඳලා මෙරුව උඩට එනවා.
So there are these termites and they live on the under the ground, and but sometimes they go up.
ගෙම්බෙක් ඉඳගෙන එතෙන්ට එලා එන එක ගිලිනවා.
So now land.
ලේනේ.
So you can see this in like Sri Lanka very often. So there are these termite nests, and they have these kind of openings that look like smokestacks. Or so anyway, there are these openings which this Aravagi or no?
Oh, එන අරමුණ.
So it's like sometimes there is like swarms of flying termites going out of these holes. So then you can see toads and frogs and even squirrels sitting around those and catching whatever the flying termites are going out. So like that, whatever is arising, that very thing is noted.
ඔව් මේ යෝගියට ආනාපාන සතිය ඊටමත් සමාධිය ප්‍රබල වෙනවා.
So like this in the yogi, the practicing the mindfulness of in and out breathing, factor of concentration, samadhi becomes really strong.
ඒක ශාන්ත වෙනවා, ඒක පනීත වෙනවා.
In other words, used to describe that is peaceful, shantai, like excellent.
ඉතින් ඒක ඉඳගෙන තමයි මේ අරමුණු ඔක්කොම අතාරින්න නැතුව මෙනෙහි කරන්නේ.
So when that happens, then the yogi just stays and is noting whatever is happening, whatever objects are arising.
එතකොට මේ හරියට අපේ සිත මේ කුළු ගොනෙක් වගේ. කුළු හරක් කැලේ ඉන්න ගවයෙක්.
ඔව්.
ඒ වගේ.
ඒක අපිට
ඒක සුදු ඇයට බෑ, මේ ලංකාවේ ඇයට කියන්නේ. පස්වර මොකක්ද?
But with this for us no sense.
දැන් ඉන්නවා කැලේ ඉන්න හරක් මොකද අල්ලන්න අමාරුයි.
Okay. අර ජපන් කතාව වගේ.
ඔය ජපන් කතාව.
So this is actually famous even in Japan and in Zen monasteries. There is this talk about the wild buffalo that is roaming the jungle.
ඔව් අපේ සිත
So the mind or untrained mind is likened to this wild buffalo that is roaming the jungle.
ඒ ගවයා අල්ලගන්න බඳින ලණුව වගේ තමයි සතිය.
So now if you want to catch and make use of this buffalo, so first you have to have like strong rope you tie it with, and this rope is sati.
ඒ බඳින ලොකු කණුව වගේ තමයි ආනාපානෙ.
So in this case of in and out breathing, the pole that you tie this wild buffalo to is the in and out breathing. So you have the pole of in and out breathing and the rope, strong rope of sati or mindfulness tying this wild buffalo of mind.
ඉතින් මේ කරුණු තුනම අවශ්‍යයි.
ඒ තුනම
දැන් අපේ සිත තියෙනවනේ. සිත තැම්පත් වෙලා තියෙනවනේ. සිත තැම්පත් වෙන්න සතිය ඕන වෙලා තියෙන. සතිය තියෙන ආරම්මණයක් තියෙනවා.
So
මේ කරුණු.
there are these things, there is the mind that needs to calm down. For that one needs sati, and for the sati to develop or work with, there needs to be an object.
ඔව් ඉතින් එයා ඊට පස්සේ මේ ආස්වාද ප්‍රාස්වාද තමයි ආරම්මණය දීගං වා රසං වා.
So when that starts happening, then the yogi starts understanding different aspects about the in and out breathing.
ඔව් එතකොට
once the yogi has got to somewhat in the practice.
දැන් ගා යෝගේ දීර්ඝ හුස්ම ගන්නවා කියලා නෑ එහෙම බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ කියලා නෑ. මේ ඉන්නකොට මේ දීර්ඝ වැටෙනවා, දිගට වැටෙනවා හුස්ම. ඒ දිගට වැටෙන හුස්ම දිගට වැටෙන බව දන්නවා. පජානාති. කෙටියට වැටෙනවා. ඒකට කෙටියට මේක එහෙම නෙවෙයි. ඒකට මේක මේ දිගට වැටෙනවා, දිගට වැටෙනවා දන්නවා. කෙටියට හුස්ම යනවා, කෙටියට වැටෙනවා දන්නවා. පජානාති.
So now this when we consider this mindfulness of in and out breathing, Lokas is now the Buddha talks always about natural breath. So some yogis these days in some like meditation schools they teach it, they should like, or some yogis do it on their own. They are on purpose breathing in long. That means like the in breath is prolonged or make last long, and same with out breath. Or then they, because the instruction says when he is breathing in long, he knows that I am breathing in long, and the next one is about out breathing, and then about short in and out breathing. So then once they have done this long breathing, some yogis then continue to on purpose have very shallow or short breaths. So which is, Lokam says this is not what the Buddha was explaining. The Buddha was explaining about as you sit and observe the breath, sometimes you realize as it's happening that the in-breath feels like a long in-breath, so you know about it. Sometimes you realize this is like very short one, so then you know it's very short one.
එතකොට මේ හුස්ම තියෙන හැටි දකින්නේ ඒක අලුතෙන් ඒක වැඩි කරන්න අඩු කරන්න යෝගියා මහන්සි වෙන්නේ.
So the yogi does not have to strive to control or manage the breath in any way. On the contrary, the instruction is whatever way the breath is happening, that way it should be known.
එතකොට සබ්බකාය පටිසංවේදී.
So these are again Lokam is going through this Sathipatthana sutta. Now we have gotten into this instruction about mindfulness in and out breathing. So from the sit down somewhere, being mindful and long and short breath, the next part is called
සබ්බකාය පටිසංවේදී.
So the next part is in Pali, this word Lokhamdu said, which is usually translated in English as experiencing the whole body. So
ඒක කියන්නේ සික්කති කියලා. අරවැය කියන්නේ පජානාති කියලා.
But here the ending of the sentence is a bit different, whereas the first lines they just said he clearly recognizes when the breath is short or long, basically. So now it says he trains himself. I shall, like literally, he trains himself. I shall experience the whole body, or while breathing in or out.
මෙහෙම සියලුම ආස්වාද ප්‍රාස්වාද මේ විදිහට වෙනවයි කියලා හික්මිලා ඉන්නවද? ඒක අලුතෙන් හුස්ම ගන්න පිට කරන් දෙවම මොනවා කරන්නේ.
So now this word sikkati means somebody that's really trained himself, so one knows he is now in the training process, and because he has been following this, watching the breath for some time already, he just knows, because now the yogis may have kaya kiyanna usma kaya ne. Now when here it talks about the body, it actually means body of the breath. So at this level the yogi is able to just follow all the breaths. So as soon as the in-breath starts, he knows that until it finishes, and then the out-breath starts and he knows that until it finishes. Because he has been practicing like that, he also knows it's going to be happening this way.
මේ සබ්බ කාය පටිසංවේදීනේ. ඒ ආස්වාස ප්‍රාස්වාස කාය. ඒක රූපයක්.
So anyway, here this in and out breathing is also bodily phenomenon. So in that case you can say it's a form.
දැන් එතකොට පස්සම් බයං කාය සංකාරං. පස්සම් බයං කාය සංකාර. දැන් මේ ආස්වාස ප්‍රාස්වාස කාය වෙනුවට ස්පර්ශය වෙන්නේ චෛසිකය.
So then the next one is called, the richer translation would be something like, he trains, I shall tranquilize the bodily formation while breathing in or out. So now Lakamu says, before the yogi is aware throughout about the physical body of the breath, or the out breath, or all the in breath. Now on top of that, he's able to recognize the mental factors that are interacting with them.
ඉතින් ඒ යෝගියා බොහොම පහසුවෙන් මේ ආරම්මනේ හික්මිලා ඉන්නවා සික්කේදී.
And at this level also it's called sikkati. So he's trained, he's been, the word he trains means he has attained to the level of somebody being trained in that practice.
ඉතින් මේක මේ පාලියේ තියෙනවා ඒ පාලි වචන. ඉතින් ඕනනම් කියන්න නැත්නම් එකයි. ඕනනම් මම ඒ පාලි වචනේ කියන්නේ. යෝ තථා පුතස්ස සංවරෝ යෝ අදිසීල සික්ඛන්තා. මේක හොඳට සීලයත් එක්ක තියෙන හන්දයි මේව ටික මෙහෙම තේරෙන්නේ කියලා කියන්නේ.
So there is a explanation from the scriptures about this. So this is the commentary says this Ayosika. So somebody that has already been established in this higher virtue. So it is not just that it happens like that. You need to have this higher virtue already.
Yo tata buddhassa සංවරෝ ආදිසීල සික්ඛාය ඉහළම සංවරයෙන් සංවර වෙලා උපසම්පදාව කියන එක නෙවෙයි.
ඒක reading අර ඉන්ද්‍රිය සංවර වගේ.
ඉන්ද්‍රිය සංවර.
So this actually now here this adisila, or the higher virtue, is like the summit of all sila, morality or virtue is actually, and it's leading to that is restraint, especially sense restraint. So this restraint has been kind of internalized, and the yogi is living in this supreme, very high level of restraint of the senses.
So tata buddha samadhi. අරක සික්ක සීලේනේ මේක සමාධියයි.
So to what extent this higher virtue or higher or this restraint of the sense happen, to that extent there is also the adequate level of concentration.
ඉස්සෙල්ලා කාදි සීලය මේක ආදි චිත්තයයි.
So here another word for this concentration is higher mind.
So
in English is translated like that.
Yo tata buddhassa panya. So adi panya sikkaya. The adi sila, adi citta, adi panya. Adi panya.
So here this is basically definition what is meant by the sikha or training. So the training is threefold, and even in the scriptures there is mentioning of sila, samadhi and panya as the threefold training in virtue, concentration and wisdom. So here it is called kind of higher with virtue, higher mind and higher wisdom.
මේකට කියන විසුද්ධිය.
So when that happens, then it is called visuddhya, is the purification happening.
අද ඉතින් නතර කරමු.
So that's where we finish off today.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි.
May you be protected by the principal gem and well and happy.